Talk, Lindsay.
Hi, guys.
Hold on. I need a cough button. There we go. Sorry.
Hi, guys. Welcome back to another episode of the Boy Meets Squirrel podcast. And today we have a topic because I am the problem. I came up with this topic, and then we'll go from there. And the topic is the performance male or the performing male, I believe.
Performative male, isn't
Performative male. Performative male. Which
don't like that.
which I personally think is like the male version of a pick-me, the co-opted version of pick-me, not the actual term. But once again, we're back to people can't like things, men can't like things without being, performative for women. And I have some thoughts on this subject. So when I first heard about it, it was the guys who were like the panda bears, right? Like they're pander bears, the guys
Pander bears, yes.
the guys who the female feminists and all of that, the male feminists, all of that. And then it started to turn into women making fun of guys who had like a matcha latte or something, or like a pumpkin spice latte or something.
A macho latte?
No, a matcha. The green tea thing.
I prefer macho latte.
Macho.
Yeah, I gotta have to steal that. I'm gonna steal that. That's good.
But it was like a guy would be out like reading a book or something and just sitting there sipping his, iced coffee or something. And a woman would take a picture and like, performative man, he's doing this for female attention and female validation. And I'm like, can you imagine what would happen if a random dude were to take a picture of a random woman enjoying, herself out, not even paying attention, and go, oh my God, she's obviously performing for male validation. Of course, they do that to us all the time. Like if a woman had like a NASCAR like Stanley, because God forbid she lives in Texas or something, and oh my God, she's doing that for male validation. She's such a pick-me. She's so performative. And I'm like, where did you come up with this idea? But then it gets better, because guys are amazing. When they see something humorous, they embrace the meme, they embrace the stereotype and make fun of it. So there was at Utah, I think, actually did a performative male contest where they went all out with all of the stereotypes and tried to out stereotype each other for the winner. They would get those little ugly things, the little boo-boo things, and were like attaching them to their Stanley that had like a cup holder and a lipstick holder and all the little like purse thing you can put on your Stanley, and they're holding their latte and they're like wearing, all of the stereotypes, trying to out stereotype each other, out meme each other for humor. But women can't take a fucking joke. And they're like, see, they know they're doing it. They're doing it for validation. I'm like, no, Brittany, they're not. They're not doing it for validation. They're making fucking fun of you is what they're doing. They're making fun of you, and it just flies right over their head. But the more and more I looked into this stupid, ridiculous thing, because once again, we're back to men aren't allowed to like things and women get to tell what men like, is that it's kind of a double blind, right? So women are always out there saying, well, I wish men liked the things that we liked and read the things that I like and read the books I want and, listen to my music. And then they do it. And it's, oh, you're doing it for, you're performing it. You don't really like this stuff. You're just doing it for our attention. But wait a minute. Didn't you just say you want them to do all this? So there's that. And then there's also well, if he has like a soy latte or something, because, maybe he's lactose intolerant or something, that's performative. He's doing it for female validation. It can't be because of any other reason other than women. And I'm just like, good God, ladies, like, really?
So what you're telling me is that when Beyonce made a country music album,
yes,
that wasn't performative.
Apparently not.
Which I don't do country music to begin with, and I don't do Beyonce. I actually saw Beyonce in concert. Funniest concert I've ever seen. I don't know if I've shared this story before. So this was in New York City at Global Citizen. So Ed Sheeran opened, then Coldplay, then Beyonce,
Sorry.
and then Pearl Jam. Now, the other three were fantastic. But Beyonce is literally everything is, hey, ladies, every 5 seconds. And then she's holding the microphone down by her hip off to the side and singing. It was all recorded. I was laughing my ass off. I'm like, they are so stupid around here. They don't know that she's playing to a tape. So, yes, D, thank you for that. We are going to talk about Charlie Kirk briefly at some point. So for those, I guess we'll do it right now. For those that don't know, is breaking news just as we were coming on air. Charlie Kirk, whatever you think of him, NBC News has said he is shot at an event in Utah. BBC says he's a Trump ally shot at a campus event in Utah. So apparently he's been shot in the neck. They don't know if he's alive or not. At least I don't. If somebody knows or there's an update, let us know. Scary world we're in now. I mean, the fact that I don't care where you stand politically with him, good, bad, indifferent. I like a lot of what he says. I don't like a lot of what he says. But the fact that people have chosen on a college campus, no less, to shoot him, apparently, that's where we're at.
Well, we're at the point where if I don't agree with what you're saying or I don't like what you're saying, I want to silence you permanently. It's not that he it's not that you can't just listen. Like it used to be that if you don't like what someone is saying, they still have a right to say it and you have a right not to listen.
Yep. And it's funny. I was just telling Curtis beforehand, and I was telling some others. I don't go anywhere not carrying anymore. And some of it has to do with what I do, making my videos. Because the amount of hate that I get, which is a fraction of what you get, Lindsay, to be honest, right? I've gotten death threats. There isn't a week goes by I don't get some sort of threat. They've tried to ban me everywhere. There are a lot of crazy people out there. And, I do what I do to protect myself, but, I am carrying at all times, but doesn't mean they can't come up behind me. Right? You don't have to like what I say, but you're going to kill me for that. That's where we're at as a country now.
I don't understand this because, okay, let's say I disagree with Charlie Kirk and I'm on the opposite side. Taking this act makes him martyr. And it damages your movement.
They don't think that way, Curtis.
They don't think that way.
I know, but that's what's wrong with the society right now. It doesn't compute to me why we got to resort to this.
Because we've lost our minds. I mean, you have to be sick in the head to do something like that. Let's be honest.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. And mental health in this country is non-existent. You would know better than I do, Curtis, how, the guys coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan, the VA does what it can. I hate knocking them, but it's a fraction of what they need to. I was talking with a guy a couple of weeks ago about it who actually works for the VA. And he was saying, I do what I can, but, I guess apparently they have so many people they work with. You guys would know better than I do, that he can't possibly handle the caseload, right? That he's trying to get people, he works to get people approved for treatment. That kind of, I'm trying to get him on my podcast. So just using that as an example, and you see all this other stuff, and you see on college campuses, the way they are driving a lot of this. Anti-male, anti-right, all of it.
Well, so I have said for years that certain people are the kind of stupid you need a 4-year degree for, because they'll graduate high school and they're critical thinkers, and then they go to college and they come out and they've been brainwashed.
But I think it's even happening in high school now.
Well, yeah, it's happening in high school now, but like when I was in high school, I was friends with people that they could think critically when we graduated, and then they all went to university or college. I didn't, and now they're my age and they're brainwashed, but they didn't used to think that. They used to be able to think critically. So I always say that the only difference between you and me is that you went to college and I didn't, so you're the kind of stupid you need a degree for.
Well, one of the things that I hear about from a lot of guys, and I actually saw this when my youngest daughter went to college, is that in the girls in particular, they're brainwashing them to hate men, right? So
Oh,
I
absolutely.
remember we went to do a tour on the college that she ultimately ended up going to, right? So they start you out in the auditorium. Well, in the auditorium, there's all these pro-feminism signs on the wall. Blatant anti-male pro-feminism signs, right? And all I kept thinking is, this is indoctrination, right? They're indoctrinating the girls to hate men and the men to hate themselves. And
they're also indoctrinating women. They're also indoctrinating women to fear men.
Of course. Well, that's, the whole, every man's a threat. Well, so what? Every woman is too. You don't want to talk about that. But it's, whatever you think of Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to say I'm probably neutral with him. Like I said, I like a lot of what he says. I don't like a lot of what he says. But I don't care enough to worry about what he says. Right? I think he's got his influence, but any rational person would be like me. All right, that's a good thing. That's a bad point, and so on. Resorting to violence. What's going to happen is you're going to see the other side start resorting to violence. Then it's going to get really bad. I've long said we're headed for a civil war, and it's not if. We're already in it. We just haven't touched off the shooting yet.
An eye for an eye makes the whole world blind.
It really does.
It really does. And
doesn't Kirk have a couple of kids? I'm trying to remember.
Yes.
Yes.
They're young, aren't they?
Yes.
Yes.
So, I mean, why would you do that?
Because we have become very, very the irony is that the people who are screaming about tolerance are the most intolerant bunch of people
and the
ever.
Ones who scream most about taking away gun rights are the ones using them.
Well, they don't want everyone else to have them. They just want their side to have them. And when you, to borrow a quote from Tyrion Lannister, when you cut out a man's tongue, you are not proving him a liar. You're telling the world you fear what he has to say. And this is exactly what they've done.
And it goes to Curtis's point about martyrdom.
Martyrdom.
Same thing.
Why would you want that? I mean, it's okay. So if the liberal end of the spectrum is often the most educated, right? They have the degrees typically. Now, if education has taught you anything, you should have taken some history classes. How many martyrs are there in history? Unless you're just going along on the indoctrinated line of thinking and you're not capable of your own thought.
Well, the irony is that most of the people who claim to be most educated, they're not. They're well-read morons. To quote Richard Feynman, never confuse an education with an intelligence. You can have a PhD and still be a fucking idiot. And the thing is, they are just smart enough. They are just smart enough. They've read just enough to think that they are that they're intelligent. They have confused quantity of words with intelligence. But it's not enough to read a million books. If you can't do anything with that knowledge, if you can't wrap your mind around concepts that maybe you don't agree with, then you're not nearly as smart as you think you are. So I see the biggest problem with the highly educated crowd. You are educated, but you're a fucking idiot. You couldn't talk yourself out of a paper bag. You would drop, in the middle of downtown and say, get home without, just using your brain. And they couldn't do it. They know a lot of knowledge. They have a lot of useless information that has no purpose or use. And they have confused that with authority. Well, I know more, therefore I'm more intelligent. No, not necessarily, because I've met some truckers who have a GED, but they could talk circles around people with engineering degrees, like practical engineering.
A degree does not confirm intelligence.
No.
It just means you can regurgitate whatever it is the professors told you they wanted
Exactly.
to hear.
But we
And I say that as
today,
someone who was an adjunct professor for 2 years.
so I mean, this is where we are now. We have a whole bunch of people that are highly educated. I call them highly educated morons. And then they get useless degrees. They're like, well, I have a degree. Okay, in what? And they're like, well, like English. Okay, so what does that mean? I read a whole bunch of books and I wrote a thesis paper and I got a monkey push button get banana. Like, that's the reason I didn't go to college, because the only thing that I would want to study is English or writing. Well, I don't need to go to school and spend an absurd amount of money to do those things. I just do those things. I read a lot of books, I think about them, and I write in my spare time. I don't need a fancy, basically degree saying, yeah, you read a whole bunch of books. Good.
What's interesting to kind of tie it in with our initial topic, though, is it's the whole useful idiot. So a couple people have posted it was a middle-aged, apparently white, not that it matters what color he is, man, right? He's probably a useful idiot. He's probably being performative, right? I would bet money somebody ginned him up to go do this, right? Call me naive if you want, but I don't think the majority of people have in their brain to go kill someone, right? But there are a lot of people with mental illness. You think about the kid that went after Trump, right? They see this propaganda over and over again, and they do want to be performative, right? So what's the best way to get attention? Shoot Charlie Kirk, try and shoot Trump, shoot up schools, all this stuff, right? And again, when you look at it and you do the research on it, most of the people who do this stuff have serious mental health issues. The guy in Charlotte, right? Which, the media is trying to quash as much as possible, but he was in jail something like 12 times and has serious mental health issues, and they let him out. Now a young lady is dead because of it. I mean, it's insanity to me. Insanity. And I don't know the answer. I don't know the fix. Short of we have to stop hating each other.
Well, we have to embrace, so we have accepted two great lies in our society, I think, that in order to be, if I disagree with you or don't support your lifestyle, it means that I hate you. And I don't necessarily agree with, like, say, a crack addict. I don't agree with their lifestyle, but I don't wish them dead.
Yeah, well, like somebody like Mr. Clippy, right? Who's clipped me. I'm sure he's clipped you. Does everything he can to get people to attack us. And then there's a few other female ones. I would never
wish them harm.
Hey, could I throw something up? I want to share this.
I'd prefer that you didn't.
Oh. Sorry, smart ass. Okay.
Doesn't make for good viewing. Although Hollywood has people puking in every show now.
No, it doesn't make for good viewing.
Apparently,
you are 100% correct.
What's that?
You are 100% correct. It does not make for good viewing.
No, but they put it in every show because apparently that's cinema now. But anyway, go ahead.
Okay, here we go. Did it go? Okay. So CNN, this is what's currently on their webpage, right? And look at the 5 where I highlighted. Okay, previous turning point events have been marred by violence and protests.
Okay.
So my point is the choice in words there is very curious, that they've been marred by violence and protests. But have they really been marred? And this goes to this idea that I'm always the guy that says what's good for the goose is good for the gander. The sword cuts both ways. And here it's just another example of CNN going, hey, these guys are responsible. They got what they got. That's essentially what they're saying.
Well,
Whether they want to admit it or not,
you're right.
The choice in words.
The way they said it makes it sound like Charlie Kirk has incited violence and protest with what he's saying, rather than the other way around, that people are upset with what he's saying, so they're mad at him.
Well, it's like the BBC has as their main title, Trump ally Charlie Kirk shot at campus. Why do we have to bring Trump into it? Right? It's always about trying to stir people up. Now, having worked in media, and you've often heard me say it's about eyeballs and ears. All they care about is that you'll look at that story, or if it's on TV or radio, listen to it, right? That's all they care about. So they know posting stuff like that is going to get people's attention and get them to respond. Right. So, I haven't looked at the commentary on either of the ones I'm looking at, but I would bet there's a war going on, good and bad, within the comments. Right. Because comments are engagement. That is what advertisers want. It's what social media wants. Right. More comments on my videos, the more they'll push my video, because the more ads they can sell. But again, it goes back to what we're talking about is, when you stir things up to the point they are now, it is leading to violence. And going back to what Lindsay was talking about at the beginning, right? These women attacking men for reading a book or drinking a cup of coffee. Right now, thank God,
do you think
men are laughing at me
for eating my SpaghettiOs and meatballs cold out of a can?
Well, you could just take yourself out of the screen.
You could,
so that people don't have to watch you eat. But anyway.
But it lends to your point though.
But you think about, like, all right, so let's say there's some TikTok chick videos a guy having a cup of coffee and reading a book, right? And attacks him. Think about how he's going to feel. And he sees other people getting attacked. In his mind, when it happens often enough, he could snap. What's amazing is that more men aren't snapping.
Well, yeah, I often say that if men were really as violent as feminists claim they are, you'd know.
Oh, it would be over, right? Men
wouldn't
will laugh it off.
You would not be allowed to say the things that you do if men were truly as violent as you claim they are.
Exactly. Well, there would be retaliation all over the place, right? And that's where people don't want to have that conversation. Because when you talk about literally, and I say it all the time in my videos, literally from the day you are born until the day you die, men are under attack. Starting with getting our genitals mutilated, right? All the way up to the only time we get flowers is when we die, that type of thing, right? There is not a day that goes by we aren't faced with some sort of attack. Some may be overt, some may be subtle, but it is constant 24/7, 365. And the fact that men aren't snapping all over the place, and sadly more and more of them are, is a testament to how strong men are. We respond with humor, usually dark humor.
Well, they respond with humor, like having the contest that I talked about.
Yeah.
They're embracing the meme and trying to make fun of it rather than get angry about it. Which ironically made women angrier, which
women can't understand that mindset that we have.
Well, it's kind of ironic that women will sit there and say men need to control their anger when men are actually very good at controlling their anger. You know who's not good at controlling their anger? Women.
Yeah.
We suck at it. At least right now we suck at it. Well, no, we've always sucked at it. If you don't believe me, go look up the 18th Amendment. We got really, really mad and we decided to punish an entire country because we got really, really mad.
It's interesting. I'll have to send it to you. I was reading something about the fight for voting, and Susan B. Anthony said be careful what you wish for, because there's more women opposed to it than there are in favor of it.
Oh my!
This now, mind you, it's 150 years ago.
I have a story for that. So, my great grandmother, it was an anti-suffragette. She hated them. She absolutely loathed them.
And that's what the
And there was more anti-suffragettes than there were suffragettes, because the suffragettes were not nice people. Everyone thinks, oh, they'll just, Mary Poppins, the women for the vote. Yeah. No, they were bombing post offices. They were tying themselves to railroad tracks. They were terrorists. They were domestic terrorists. And
that lends itself to Sam Adams' phrase. It had to do with, I don't need a majority of people to revolt. I just need a minority that's loud and raucous.
And that's what's happening right now.
That's what's happening.
Right.
And, not to get into conspiracy theories, but a lot of people think this is planned. I think it is, because when you see the consistent way that men are viewed, treated, and talked about, they're trying to get men to fulfill what they claim they are. They're violent, they can't control themselves and all that stuff. When the reality is the exact opposite. And then when you see incidences like we're seeing with Kirk, where who knows what this guy's motivations were, right? Or what his mindset was. But when you look at, to go shift to another one, that guy in Charlotte, I will never defend him, right? That guy should have been in prison or in a mental health care facility, either one, whatever, I don't care if he's black, white, gray, purple, polka dotted. It's irrelevant. None of that should be brought in at all. And yet that's all you're hearing, right? Well, we're going to talk about race and all. No, let's talk about the issue. This guy committed a horrific crime. He better spend the rest of his life in prison, at the very minimum. Or if it is truly mental health, we need to have because people are calling for it, we need to have the judges that let him out held accountable. And I would argue the doctors too, because judges will have expert testimony from shrinks. Oh, he's got problems, but if he takes his meds, he'll be okay. That shrink should go to prison too. It's just, we're seeing this over and over again. And the escalation and violence, both literally and figuratively, like what Lindsay was talking about, making these videos attacking men, that's a form of violence. We don't want to acknowledge that. Oh, it's just a joke. We're just having a little fun. No, you're committing violence against him. And violence, honestly, we all know begets violence.
Like begets like, fire begets fire. And
Maggie, you're right. A woman's anger is dangerous, and it can be devastating to children. Very devastating.
Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. I mean, like the idiom exists for a reason. And
it's not just a stereotype, it's reality.
Well, I was saying
stereotypes are reality, though.
I said last week that our worst trait is that we're vindictive. Our worst trait is that we're vindictive. And men aren't the problem. Men are not the boogeyman that women claim. So women are doing everything in their power to try and engineer men to fill that role, to push them and push them and push them and push them until they snap. And then they also have the self-delusion to think that, we can take them on when that happens. No, honey, you can't.
I don't know if you saw the video. I think it was on Insta. So there, trained woman. This was in a karate studio or martial arts studio. Trained woman and a man. He destroyed her. I mean, they were legitimately going at it. He destroyed her. And you could clearly see he was holding back.
I watched a video similar to that. It was something out of the Netherlands where they had a woman who was trained to fight. She was the top something hand-to-hand combat or whatever of their armed forces versus a regular guy. Now, it took a little bit more time, but the regular guy cleaned her clock. Just off the street, because men are bigger and stronger than women. It doesn't matter how well trained you are.
I mean, I had an incident play now. So, I trained groups of women. One of them happened to be I think she was a 3rd degree black belt in one of the things. So they were all joking how she could kick my ass. And I said, okay, let's do it. Right. So all I basically did, to make a long story short, is I grabbed her in a bear hug and just held her. She couldn't do a damn thing. I literally reached around. She was about your size, Lindsay. I pinned her arms to her side, lifted her up off the ground, turned my hip because I have a little bit of training. So she couldn't get to areas. Not that she would have hit me there. And she was laughing her ass off. She goes, just shows you, right? It not universal, but men will overpower women generally. We're a half hour in. Ready for the surprise?
Ready for surprise.
Wait, ready? Look what I did. Because our producer didn't do it. I had to go and do it.
You're so good at this.
It's under captions, Curtis, just so you know.
Captions. Got it.
So, yeah. I actually did it yesterday because I was doing a live myself. So I was playing with it. You can put all sorts of fun things in. I'll leave that up and running. So, yeah, like, subscribe, share. So we're sending this to my feed. But, guys, we really want you on Boy Meets Squirrel. So another thing I want to mention real quick. What are we at? About 180, give or take. We need your help, guys. So let me look in the camera. If you're watching on my channel on YouTube, or what was the other one we're on, X or whatever?
We're on X, YouTube,
Facebook.
and Rumble.
Go
Facebook
over
too.
to Find Boy Meets Squirrel and find us there and like it for us. Because we're trying to grow it there. All right. So go do that. All right. Getting back to the conversation. One of you go.
Well,
I'm reading the comments.
Yeah, so am I. There's a lot.
Okay, so Houston brought up a good point. Too many of these women have watched female superhero movies and or too many episodes of Law and Order SVU. So yes, the trope of, you know, the strong female woman is just as good as a man. I hate it. I loathe it for many reasons. One, because it sets up false expectations, but also because apparently women are only strong female characters when they exude masculine traits. You get a feminine woman in a feminine role with traditionally feminine strengths, like, say, Sansa Stark from Game of Thrones, and she is universally reviled by women for not, you know, I hate her. She's not strong. She's not this. And yet she survived everything. She used her brain. She put her armor as courtesy as armor, and she played the game, which is what women used to do. She didn't have to swing a sword, and she ended up surviving everybody else versus your pick, Cersei, who died. So apparently women are only strong and independent when we act like men. But if we act feminine, we're what? Doormats?
Which goes back to your original thing, right? They're making fun of men for being like women, right? The pander bears. And yeah, there are some. And my argument has long been, if you check with them, they've been raised by a single mother, almost universally, right? These guys don't know any better. You know, I hate.
They've been indoctrinated.
Yes, I hate the term simp. I really, really do. And it's thrown around a lot. And I'm not going to say I've never used it because I have, but it's very rare that I do. And there's usually a specific reason why I do it. But when you look at those guys, and I've actually been doing research and talked to quite a few of them. There are, with some exceptions, very rarely, but almost every single one of them, like I said, with some exceptions, has been raised by a single mother. So much like women are being indoctrinated, these guys are. And then these mothers are sending them out and they're getting eaten alive by other women. And my question is, because the next level of research should be, are they doing it deliberately? Or is it they don't know any better, the women, the mothers?
I don't think, I think
it's a mix. My
it's
opinion,
a mix.
It's a mix. But I'd be curious, that would be something to research, because generally speaking, to generalize, I think most mothers want what's best for their kids. I really believe that. My mother being the extreme exception to the opposite, right?
I I think that women are what I think is happening is I think women are trying to teach their sons how to be empathetic and whatnot, but the way that a woman would teach another woman to do that is not the way a man would be empathetic. A mother cannot teach a boy how to be a man.
Nor can a
And
father teach a girl how to be a girl.
so the mother is trying to teach the son how to be empathetic, which is all a good thing to be, but she's teaching him the same way she would teach a daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not translating well.
Well, I mean, here's my opinion. They're doing that because they've been conditioned, they being the mothers and women in general, that's what a man should be like. He should be feminine, basically, right? Or a pander bear or simp or whatever. Then when they become that, they make videos mocking them for reading a book and drinking a tea.
Well,
it's a no-win situation for guys. And that goes directly back to what I said earlier, how men are constantly under attack. They are damned if they do and damned if they don't. No matter
when a woman says she wants a feminine man, or not a feminine man, when a woman says she wants an empathetic man, her only context for empathy is feminized. She has no concept of male empathy because we're constantly told men don't have empathy. So what she wants is female empathy in a male package, but when you give them that, they get made fun of.
Yes. Or women don't understand what empathy means to a man or how they present it.
Well, yeah, that's basically what I was kind of trying to say.
Empathy is chivalry in another form. The old school coming to the defense of a woman. That's empathy. You empathize with her plight. I'm going to come help you. Oh, she's on the side of the road with a flat tire. Well, you've got to have empathy in order to pull over and help her with it, as opposed to now where I have none and we'll just keep driving by. There's no way in effing hell I will ever stop to help a woman change her tire. I'm not going to jail because she gets upset. I would do it for, of course. But
well, no, I'm saying I have stopped to help someone change a tire because I know how to change on my own damn tire.
I would not. There is absolutely zero chance I would do it.
And I don't, like, if I'm ever on the side of the road.
Man, I would.
Well, like, if I'm ever on the side of the road, and someone doesn't stop, because I did run out of gas a couple years ago. Eventually a guy came to stop, but I was not angry that no one stopped. I know damn well why they didn't stop. It's not worth the risk.
It's not. You could go to jail for 10, 20 years for changing a freaking tire. It's
you had a gentleman on your podcast from the UK, if I recall correctly.
Oh, I've had a few. Probably I think the one you're thinking of, it might have been Sean.
The one that went to prison?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could be wrong on it. I think it was Sean is who you're talking about for helping.
Mm-hmm.
And that if I saw a woman getting attacked, let's say in our downtown, now mind you, I'm armed. If I saw a woman getting attacked, I'd call 911. Absolutely, I would. And I would do the same for a tire. I'd call the state police, and I have actually did that not too long ago, right? Pick up the phone, call state police. Hey, there's a car at whatever mile marker it was with a flat tire. Go handle it. As opposed to stopping. Or, and I think in that case, her car was overheating. I had the stuff in my car to fix it. I have antifreeze and all that. I have the stuff to plug a radiator. Not a chance in hell I would do it now. Right? Because I've lost my empathy, to go to your point, Lindsay. Well, I am not willing to lose 10 or 20 years of my life because she might get upset about something and decide to say I raped her.
And this is what baffles me, is that women are sitting there saying, well, we need to teach our sons how to do this so that they'll be better men. And I said, but they're not being better men. Your constant dragging of men is actually creating the very misogynist that you claim to hate. Because if you have a boy who is hated every single day of his life, who hears his mother and sisters talk about how much they hate men, and then he grows up, do you think that he's going to like women? Do you think he's going to treat women well? No. He's going to act like an abused animal, and he's going to bite, every time a woman gets near him because he's protecting himself from the abuse that he has suffered. And then you get to sit there and scream, oh, you're a misogynist. Well, yeah, you created him. You created the very villain that you claim to be fighting because you won't accept that. I hate to break it to you, but in today's day and age, at least in the West, women are not oppressed. Men are not the oppressors. They're not. I would argue, actually, if you want to find out who really holds the power, who is really the oppressor, you find out who you're not allowed to offend. Guess who we're not allowed to offend? Women.
All women.
All women.
Yeah. It's they're saying Charlie Kirk passed.
Oh, shit.
Keith just posted it in the comments. Wow. Again, I don't care where you stand politically with that. My heart breaks for his children. It's the first thought I have in my mind because he's got young children.
His children and his wife.
God damn. Come on, people. Come on. Come on. And you're going to, get ready for all day. Hey, we got to have gun control laws now. Right? You're going to get me going here. It breaks my heart for his children. I don't know how old his children are. If somebody could jump in with that. And again, but for the grace of God, that's Lindsay, me, or Curtis too. Some kook could come after one of us. They've threatened to many times. You may not like what we have to say, but is it worth killing us for? Apparently so.
And this isn't new. I mean, they did the same thing with Martin Luther King. They didn't like what he had to say, so they shot him.
Or Kennedy. Which turned out to be our own government, actually.
But
his daughter was born in August of 22. His son was born in May of 24.
So 3 and a little over a year. I want to cry.
Spend a
I really do.
whole life without a father.
I just, again, it goes back to, I don't care what you think politically. If you're going to resort to violence like this, I don't want to hear it when somebody on the other side does it now. And it's coming. I hope to God it doesn't.
I hope
these news updates are not showing what Keith's seeing.
I haven't seen anything, but I'm not looking.
And I'm actively looking. I'm just trying to figure out where Keith saw it. Keith, did you see where it? Where are you seeing
channels? So it might be seeing it on YouTube. I don't know. And again, I hope he's wrong, but I don't want to say he is because I don't know. And the other side of it is news media is probably freaking out right about now. And remember, they lean left. This does not look good for them. So, but I want to take the politics out of it. I feel for his wife. Think what you want about him. From what I know, and again, I don't know much. I'll be the first to tell you that. But he and his wife loved each other dearly. So he's saying Megyn Kelly's the one who announced it. So I would get more sources than Megyn Kelly, just saying. Although she's probably in the know with him. It goes back to what we talked about at the beginning. There is so much hate being directed around. Left versus right, man versus woman. Boomer versus millennial, because that's percolating up now. So apparently people don't understand that I worked 3 effing jobs at 22 years old to get by.
Oh, the millennial boomer debate. Okay, so I'm a millennial.
You're one of them.
I'm one of them. But do you know how many times I have never actually been accused? So when I'm talking to someone in text and I'm talking again about the stupid millennial entitlement, I have been accused of being a boomer so many times because they're talking about, well, the ticket price on my house cost this. I go, yeah, and the boomers interest rate was like at 7-something%. Our interest rate is at 2-something%. So you do the freaking math, and guess what? They paid more than us. Shut up.
Well, it's like somebody was yapping at me about it, and I'm like, I made $2.95 or no, $2.65 when I started working. $2.65. So relatively speaking, you know, and I was working 3 jobs. I was working 90 to 100 hours a week. But they don't want to do that. They want to work 40 and bitch at us boomers because we're not giving them our money.
Or
they're for you to get my money anyway.
Well, they're talking about, well, I want this. And I'm like, okay, well, do you know when my dad first started, when he first got his own apartment, he had a mattress on the floor, he had cinder block furniture, he had a cable spool table,
Yep.
and he didn't have a table. Didn't have anything else. So he would have pimento cheese sandwiches, half a piece of bread, eating over the sink because he didn't have any dishes. And he did that for
13-inch TV.
And he did that for years.
Yep.
Until he could afford
TV with the rabbit ears and the foil on it so that you get the 2 channels that I got. But yeah, apparently I had it all handed to me. So it's insane. But again, it all goes back to what we're talking about is there's so much hate going on. And some are arguing that, it's coming from the government. I think that's a fair point in many ways. Others are, I would argue that a lot of it's coming from people who have a certain agenda, which are not the government, feminists in particular. And that's where it leads to things like Charlie Kirk getting shot or the assassination attempts against Trump. I was no fan of Biden ever, right? I would never wish someone to take a shot at Biden, ever, right? I despised Bill Clinton. I would never advocate for somebody to take a shot at him, right? But yet, here we are. And get ready, folks. Buckle up. I mean, do I think this will be the touch-off for a major one? No, I don't. I don't think he's big enough. If Trump had been killed, we would be in a shooting war right now. Something will eventually snap on the right. It's not if, it's when. It already has on the left. And, you see it within the gender war. Women are going to keep pushing.
Okay, so 23 minutes ago, Glenn Beck said that Charlie Kirk had a pulse.
Yeah, I got to trust you.
I don't know. Like, I'm getting conflicted stories, but I'm not seeing anything out of
32 minutes ago, he was just shot.
That's the only thing I've seen also. Remember, now in the media, the news media, they'll be looking to get confirmation from at least 3 sources before they'll release it. So you won't see it unless they have it already. You're not going to see it on, say, NBC News. Once they have that 3rd source. Oh, here we go. Stephen King already. The motivation of the man who shot Charlie Kirk isn't clear, although he's probably mentally unstable. What is clear is it's another example of gun violence. No, it's an example of a mentally ill person doing it. There's video. Oh, God. I just saw it. There's video of him getting shot. It's on Twitter. We can't show it here, God forbid, but
I don't think it'd be a good idea.
No, we can't.
No.
But you can see it. Tim Pool's reporting that he has died. So again, I'm just kind of
okay. So now, maybe.
So now the bigger Keith just said, MSNBC, CNN are saying it, and again, it goes back to. In this case, it's political. But we started off talking about the war between men and women, and trying to paint men negatively.
Less than a minute ago, Trump stated that Charlie Kirk has passed.
Trump would know more than anybody because he would get briefed on it. I'm watching another video right now. He's just sitting there. Picks up the microphone. Boom. Oh, God. Carotid. I mean, the actual video is on Twitter, guys, if you want to go see it. There's no way he survived that shot. I mean, Curtis, you've been in fights. You know, certain areas you get shot, you're probably not going to survive.
Aorta being one.
Derek Evans. Go look up Derek Evans. Derrick Evans, Evans 4WV on Twitter. He's got the video. Heartbreaking. And, you know, Charlie Kirk has talked about issues between men and women. Matt Walsh does it far more. He'll be next, I'm telling you. You know, I'm waiting. When I say this, I don't mean me personally, although it could be. One of us will get it eventually, meaning somebody who advocates on social media for men. You know, it could be one of the bigger ones that are out there. It could be someone like me or Lindsay, who are mid-level creators. We get crazies at us all the time. Yeah, Tank just said they filmed it from the second row. The one I'm looking at kind of looks like it was from that.
No, there's no way.
You saw the video? There's no way.
There's no way.
The same thing. And of course, all the, you know, well, this is, see, now again, this is where it's going to lead to conspiracy theories, because all the whack jobs on the left are saying, well, we got to get rid of the guns. How about his kids? Can we just take a pause, people, and care about his kids for a little bit and his wife?
No, because they can't let any good tragedy go to waste.
You know, it just, this is not going to be good. I don't think it'll touch anything major off, but, and what's funny is he posted, Charlie Kirk posted 3 hours ago about the senseless murder of Irana Zarazuka, which is the poor woman in
Ukraine. Charlotte, it was Ukrainian.
So he just posted 3 hours ago what a terrible tragedy that was. I'm paraphrasing it. And then he's a victim. You know, it's just ridiculous. It's where we are. You know, at some point, what do? It ain't taking the guns away. I hate to break it to you.
No, because then only the people that have the guns will be the government, and that's the last thing we want.
Well, not only that, there's other things like knives.
Well, I mean, okay, so people are killed more with vehicle accidents by far.
Well, knives too.
Hands and feet. If you take out suicides, more people are killed with hammers and hands and feet than guns. Guns aren't the problem. And guns aren't the problem because 60 years ago, kids would have their guns on school campuses in the back of their truck because they just came from hunting.
I did.
And no one did any of this.
I mean, I would have a shotgun in my trunk of my car.
It has become, I don't like what you, we are so coddled, we are so privileged in our society that if we hear something that we disagree with, my ears, I don't want to hear it, so I don't want anyone else to hear it either. I have to make it go away permanently. I have to silence it completely. How weak do you have to be to not be able to listen to something that you may not like? I don't like feminists either, but
you'd said something earlier, Lindsay, that really resonates and it echoes what you're saying. And I think that's what's at the heart of this. You'd said that women are more dangerous than men.
Mm-hmm.
And women will say men are far dangerous. Here's the crux of it. Men exercise the most restraint because we are physically capable, we're physically willing, we're mentally willing. The problem is we exercise that great restraint what happens when you remove the man that is teaching those young men that restraint.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think Dan's been doing research. I've been doing research. Almost every shooter or mass shooter has come from a single mother home with there's no dad in the picture.
It's in the upper 80 percentages.
But that's still something that needs to be their mental health.
We can't have that discussion yet, right? We can't discuss that. That's the problem. It's straight to take the guns away. The guns aren't the problem, right? And Keith, I just want to address that. Sorry to have dropped this news. We appreciate that you did, and if it changes the conversation, I'm okay with it because this is a pretty big deal. And again, like somebody, who was it? Tank said, "Do you think it's a political shooting?" Probably, but I don't care. To me,
the appearance of it is, but what's it matter?
It doesn't matter.
What makes killing someone right because they've spoken?
Right. And of course, MSNBC. You ready for this? Because Twitter, I love it and I hate it. MSNBC is speculating the assassin may have been a supporter of Charlie, shooting their gun off in celebration. So they're already spinning this. Just like they're spinning Charlotte, that guy was the poor guy who killed a woman. I mean, come on. I just, it blows my mind that they get this out there. You got idiots like Stephen King.
You didn't interrupt anything, Keith. Thank you.
No, Keith, I appreciate you bringing it up, because this is important because it does speak to the issues that we talk about, right? The ones that can stop this are men. Mm-hmm. They're not going to, though, because they're like, what do I care? If it's not affecting me specifically, I don't care.
They have been desensitized or oversensitized, depending on how you want it. They have been systematically stripped of their empathy. Because if you had tried this 60 years ago, it wouldn't have happened.
It would have.
And I have told men numerous times that you have to stop being nice. So if a woman is screaming in your face or trying to video camera you or whatever, stop being nice. Don't let her do it. Now they won't. They'd rather walk away. They've been taught to take the high road. And because they've been taught to take the high road, this stuff keeps happening. And women now have the inflated illusion that we have power. No, we don't. We have been tricked into thinking we have that because the men aren't fighting back. If the men were to fight back, our power would quickly go away.
I mean,
country's right. I would break the phone. If I were in that position, male or female, if I had a woman who was screaming in my face about something horrible, I would take her phone and smash it. Now,
then you would be arrested for it.
Yeah.
Because that's assault.
Destruction of property. But at least in my state. But I did have a woman once. I did have a woman once get in my face. And the only reason I did not knock her teeth out is because I was holding my child. I had a woman come at me outside of a Walmart. She was here doing a protest with a college, talking about, is your child because he's a boy, he raped you when he was born. By virtue of being male, my son raped me the day he was born. I told her I had a cesarean section and sidestepped her and walked away and then sat in my car and screamed. But I was just...
But that's the mindset they have. And you're looking at, I keep going back to Charlotte. If you watch that whole video, which is I've seen the raw video of that also. He stabbed her, if I remember right, 3 times. There are, off the top of my head, I think 3 other people sitting there. And if I remember right, it was 2 men and 1 woman. They never left their seat. They never went to help her afterward. Hello, try and staunch her bleeding. Now, back in the day, to put a little levity in, if I were there and saw that, I would go and obviously try and render medical assistance to her. Now, I would think twice. I would do it. because that's a different scenario. But I would think twice about it. I would hesitate because I know of guys that, rescued women from drowning and ended up on charges or got civilly sued. And where she got stabbed, you're going to be touching certain areas. You're going to rip her shirt off to get to it. Just like if you have to use an AED, you have to remove the bra. You don't know if there's a wire in it. You have to remove it. And men don't. They're like, no, we're not going to do anything. They're becoming like women because women will never step in. And it's heartbreaking that we've reached this point. Heartbreaking. And I don't think it'll turn around in my lifetime. I think it's going to get worse. It is what it is, I guess. That's what I tend to say. But what do we do?
I mean,
the only thing we can do, and that is to live the best life we can for the people who have died.
As individuals, yes.
To try that have tried to better our existence here.
The problem is that just separates and silos us more. If I live my best life, you live your best life, but they don't intertwine or interact.
I'll offer you this.
By the way, I'm not disagreeing with you.
Well, I'll offer you this. A man that seeks happiness in his life will not achieve it. However, a man that seeks his purpose or seeks a purpose will achieve happiness over and over and over.
I'm just going to say that I miss the America of 9/12. I do not wish I do not wish the tragedy on anyone.
But that day,
it did not matter if you were gay, straight, black, white, Asian. It didn't matter. We were all Americans. People were painting American flags on their driveways, on their front doors. It didn't matter. Suddenly, our differences, which are minute, didn't matter as much as we were Americans. And I miss the America of September 12th.
Let me ask you this. If God forbid something like that happened tomorrow, because tomorrow's the anniversary, right? Tomorrow's Thursday. Do you think Friday we would all be together as a nation? I don't.
No.
I don't think you would see that repeat. I think you'd see the opposite because you're seeing it right now. Go on Twitter. It is scary what's going on Twitter right now. Scary what is being said. Some of these things are just mind-boggling. The governor of Illinois is on there blaming Trump for it. That's going to help. How's that help? So if, God forbid some terrorist did something, let's say set off a nuke in Chicago, I think most of the country would be good. Chicago, who do I care?
You only control yourself. Here's the thing. The governor of Illinois can go suck a donkey, you know what. I'll tell you this. You know what? You're only responsible for yourself. And maybe he should start taking ownership and accountability of the countless murders that happen day in and day out in his state.
And
maybe
the mayor
he
of
ought
Chicago,
to stay in his lane.
Because, I went to Chicago in 2016. I will never forget it. Beautiful city. It's my only time I've ever been there. And we roamed all over, right? My wife and I.
Traffic
but every
sucks.
night we would come back to the hotel, right? We were there for about a week. And I'm not kidding you. There's a death toll scroll on the bottom of the news. And I remember the Monday we were there was like 32 people shot on the weekend. 7 years ago. It's no different now.
And they have some of the strictest gun laws on the books.
The strictest, as far as I know.
The strictest, as far as I know, and it's not stopping. So it's almost like the laws. Well, first of all, criminals don't follow laws to begin with. So the only people that would follow the laws are the the good citizens, which is coincidentally why we have the Second Amendment in the frickin' first place. Because it's almost like they know that bad people don't care about morality. Shocker, I know.
Yeah, and again, again, this was probably political. We're speculating at this point, right? But you look at somebody like Lindsay or I who makes
I
video.
think you rely pretty solidly on the statistical probability.
It's probably true, but you would argue that what Lindsay and I do with our videos is political in a manner of speaking.
Absolutely, but
and
politics is a wide range here.
Yeah. So are we next, or pick your person you prefer the most, right? That's an influencer or even just a creator. What the fuck is my computer doing? What the hell was that? My whole computer what did you do, Curtis?
I did nothing.
Like literally my
Iowa.
entire computer just changed. What the hell was that?
I am in Iowa. You can't blame me for shit.
They're listening. They're listening.
I wondered, did the NSA just tap my computer? Holy shit, man. That was wow. And I forgot what I was saying. Oh, I look at what happened to Kirk. You look at there's a whole wide list of them. And again, I keep returning back to what Lindsay brought up at first is, what's the next escalation that the women are going to do? Because right now they have no problem destroying a man online, his reputation, false allegations, putting him in jail. Is this what's next for them? Are they going to start just walking up and randomly shooting men?
They have had women attack men and kill them because they're men. There's a whole group of them that are on trial somewhere. I forgot what state it's in. But they attacked a disabled man because he was male. That they stated that was why they did it, because he's male. That's not what the news media said. They're like, we don't know why they did it, but in their testimony they said it's because he's male. There's the woman who accused the guy in the Walmart parking lot of raping her because she just thought he looked creepy and ruined
Daniel
his
Peterson.
life.
Yep.
Why? Because he was male?
Just because she thought he looked creepy.
Just because she thought he looked creepy.
I actually reached out to him. I wanted to get him on my podcast, but he never replied to me. And I understand, right?
Why would you want to relive that? I get it.
I get it.
I get it.
I get your point.
Totally. I wish he would come forward because
to talk about it.
How many times have we run into that taboo topic? I'll say that it's lingering in the boomer generation, but I'd say less so. It's the generations before boomers that the taboo-ness, I will say, of they never talked about like the difficult topics. They never talked about death. They never talked about sex. They never talked about childbirth. They never talked about anything that was taboo or considered taboo.
Well, the greatest generation as they're known, right?
Right.
They came back from World War II. Now, when my family, they all served, right? That generation. They would not talk about it day to day, but when they started drinking, then it would come out, right? They'd all get drunk on a Saturday night. We were Italian.
Yeah.
They get bombed off their ass, and then the stories would come out. And they were fascinating stories, right? But they never talked about the horrors they saw. And you're right, Curtis. And I would assume it existed even before them, and they were taught that way. Because these things just go that way. But where we're at now, I think is a whole other.
If we can't have a brutally honest conversation and someone can't get their panties not in a bunch, this is a bunch of bull.
But we're at the point where we're shooting people now because of it.
And that too.
Forget not having a conversation. We're killing people because they want to. And that's where feminism is leading us. Because like somebody, I got to really get off Twitter while I'm on the show, but somebody posted something from Blue Sky and they're all cheering right now. They're wishing the bullet well, one of them. I'm paraphrasing it.
Oh, fuck.
And trust me, this person's a feminist. right down to the septum piercing, the pink and purple hair.
Yeah, I'm.
You know, it's the sad part is at some point enough is going to be enough. And I'm not saying it's a good thing by any means, but you're going to see the other side, whether it's the right or men or, you know, because obviously everything's different.
Well, men seem to get lumped onto the right side, whether that's how they vote or not, just because they use this wonderful thing called fucking logic.
Wait, you mean the thing that I use all the time that Dan reminds me that you're using logic again?
Yeah, you're not allowed to use that because logic is kryptonite. Well, accountability is kryptonite to women. So maybe
Ownership?
ownership. Maybe logic is rat poison, arsenic.
And the problem is when you react solely on emotion and you live your life based solely on emotion, it's what leads to people getting shot.
Well, I tell my boys this all the time. I tell my kids, and I'll tell anyone else listen too. If you're being led around by your emotions, someone says something and you react with your emotions, first of all, you don't know if it's right or not. You're not using your brain. And then someone can control you. And that's what's happening. If you push a button, if you push a rage bait clicky title, we are controlling everyone by their emotions like freaking puppets. That then they do these things. They do these horrible, acts because they've had all of their correct buttons pushed because they're emotive and they're off the cuff from their emotions. They're not using their brains.
Like somebody's posted, they're already out. I'm off TikTok, but they're already now. I'm on Twitter looking. They've put a compilation together of all the people on TikTok cheering this on, right? My answer would be we don't respond with violence, but we blacklist them for life. Right? That's the proper response. And what I mean by blacklisting is if I own a business, I'm not hiring somebody like that. And it actually is already happening, right? I talk to business owners all the time. They will not hire, whether you want to call them leftist, feminist, pick your phrase, right? They won't hire them because they are walking nightmares.
How fucked up do you have to be to cheer on
That's my point.
The fact that a man is dead for speaking of his opinion, and in many cases lots of facts. Whether you agree with them or not, there's facts. That's why they don't care about your feeling. So you're cheering on the fact that a man is dead and 2 children will now grow up without their father and a wife has to bury her husband. That's what you're cheering about.
That's exactly.
They don't care.
They'll spin it as now she's free.
Oh,
mark my words. You will see that now she's free. She got away from the oppressed man. Wait for it. It's coming.
Well, they've already said that there's tons of people out there that have already said that they feel sorry for his wife, and he loves his wife. He's talked nothing but wonderful things about his wife.
And vice versa, by the way.
Yeah. So it's just, do you realize how much of a shit person you have to be happy that someone is dead?
I mean, I'm looking at this compilation
with very few exceptions. With very few exceptions.
The H person being one of them.
Yeah.
Or Stalin.
Stalin.
It's funny how we can't
Mao.
say one name. We have to use the H person, but it's okay to say Stalin.
Lenin.
Stalin killed 10 times more people.
Mao.
Well, you can say Lenin because you don't know whether you're talking about one or John.
It's like, but it goes to the insanity that, we have to say unaliving. Or I got somebody emailed me because I did a post on homelessness. You can't use that word. Why not? No, it's
Is it not factually accurate?
It's unhoused. And
Oh
I
my
replied back going,
God.
what's the difference?
Unhoused equals homeless. Like that's an actual like. There's this lovely thing called a dictionary.
I'm going to go here. Hopefully it doesn't get us in trouble. But if I say to people the N word, do we all know what the word is?
Yep.
Well, then that's another thing. You can't say, okay, you can't say colored people. You have to say people of color. Isn't that the same thing rearranged?
But that's right. And if it offends some, okay. Well, why doesn't things that offend me count too? Right. And again, it's just
Okay. So technically, according to the Oxford Dictionary, there is a difference. So unhoused is having no accommodation or shelter. Okay. Homeless means a person without a home and therefore typically living on the streets.
Homeless fits better.
Homeless does fit better.
I've got to get back from all the spin you just threw out. Hold
Oh
on.
no, but to your point, homeless is the correct word.
Yes, I know, but I'm just saying. I'm trying to chuckle because
Thank you, Dark Angel.
yes, thank you. Again, we all have different beliefs. Some of us think similarly, like the three of us on the screen now, but we disagree on some things. I would never, I just can't fathom myself using violence against someone that I don't care how vehemently I disagree with them. There are people that have come at me, sent their tribes against me, and I still would never use violence back at them. I just wouldn't do it. And yet it's now becoming the norm. And I'll be interested to see what they find out about the guy who committed the crime. I mean, we don't know anything yet, and to speculate would be wrong, but to assume, I'm going to bet there's some sort of mental illness there.
Undiagnosed or sealed behind a juvenile record or
Psychopath.
You have to be a psychopath to take another human being's life, short of war. And even then, I remember reading 30 or 40 years ago, something like 10% of the troops killed 90% of the enemy.
Yeah, because the rest of them. So you have to understand that the infantry is only one part of the military force. You're talking that it takes a huge amount of like logistics and manpower to get.
No, they were talking about within specifically. This was for World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. Apparently, I've never read it. There was a study done, and in those three wars, engagements, whatever the F you want to call them, 10% of the people in the infantry units did 90% of the killing. I don't know if it's true or not. I don't know. But that's what they found. And I can believe that. Because most people, and you were in the military, Curtis, so correct me on this, they try and break it out of you that, right, in boot camp. For lack of a better term, to take your empathy out so that you can shoot the enemy, right?
I don't. Well, okay.
I'm not saying it right, but I think you're getting what I mean, right? Is that most people aren't capable of killing another human being inherently. It can be trained into them, but inherently.
It also depends on the situation. Like, so you're talking about it, you'd have to be trained into killing someone. I can think of two very good reasons I could commit murder right now.
Oh, if somebody touched my wife, wouldn't even think twice about it. But that's a different situation.
Well, yes, I realize that, but I was like, maybe this is not the time to mention that, as the woman, we're talking about women are more violent. I'm sitting there thinking to myself, the minute they handed me my child, I suddenly realized that I could commit any number of
that's different to me,
atrocities.
Lindsay. And maybe people will disagree with me. That's totally different, right? If it's your family and you're defending them.
I think there is a distinction to be made between self-defense or defense of someone who is a part of yourself and just going out and doing senseless harm.
Which
I would tell you that the brothers and the sisters to the right and left of us, that was reason enough.
But again, that's family.
It is. And the thing is the moral injury that comes along with it. And when I say moral injury, I mean that there is a psychological injury that happens to your brain, that happens chemically when you respond that way, because it is inherently against your moral code. Why it's against your moral code is because you have an ethical obligation to your family, or you have two competing morals that can't reconcile. Oh no. That's when that happens. And you don't want to hurt someone, but you will. And you have to. I mean, it's a priority when you're talking about that scenario.
It's just, again, I'm out on Twitter again looking at different things, and it's just like they posted one Titanic fan on TikTok who I am aware of cheering it on. She's a radical feminist. And they've got a screenshot of her laughing with the comment on it, Charlie Kirk was just shot in the neck in the Utah event. Cheering it. That's a feminist. Mind-boggling that we've reached this point. And ultimately, I think it's only going to get worse. I think the worst is yet to come. And I've prepared for it. I've got a few thousand rounds, and it's scary that I have to do that. I hope to God I never use them. It would take a lot before I would. It would have to be a direct threat to me or my family. But that's me. And I know that you two would have the restraint also. But there's enough people out there.
Well, I know this. I know that every one of the kids, if post-apocalyptic America were to occur, they all know where they're going.
You have your exit plan, in other words.
Well, no. I'm not going anywhere. They're going somewhere. And here's the thing. If you think they're going to go with their mom, they know their dad can keep them alive. And they know their dad knows how to do it.
Yeah. It's like my wife and I call it our exit strategy if things touched off, whether it's a nuke, terrorist event, or a civil war. When I lived in New York, we had a place in the Adirondacks that I could go to. You would never have found me. It's just, it is sad that we have reached this point. And, to tie it into what we talk about, it's going to be on men to fix it. The question is, will men want to? And I don't think they will.
I don't think they will. I think that they have been conditioned.
I will say myself, no. Touch my family. Yes, absolutely. Touch one of you. I got your backs. But the average person in the street, why would I bother? My life's too valuable. I only get one of them. And I'm not saying that proudly by any means. It's where we're at. And because we got to start winding things down, but my heart breaks for the two young kids and his wife.
His daughter was present
She'll never forget that. I don't care how old she is.
Nope.
She's scarred for life.
Was his wife?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I do know that his daughter was.
You know, it is horrific. And I would not go look at that video, just so you know. And I'm seeing it like over and over again because, of course, everybody's putting it out there now. It is just, and the spin is happening on both sides. So I'll probably do a video on this after. I got to give it a few days. But it just speaks to where we're at as a country and as a society. It's another signal that society's breaking down.
Late stage Roman Empire, guys.
Yeah. And maybe it needs to. I hate to say that, but
Oh, I'm half convinced we just need to finish tearing it all down so we can fix it.
the only way I could see us getting out of it, a terrorist event won't do it. A full-on war might. Like if China went for Taiwan. Because the amount of death that would happen on both sides. Yeah, remember, if they hit a carrier, that's what, 4,000 people on a carrier? You know, one of our carriers, something like that. That might do it. But even then, no. Even then, I don't know.
But I still wouldn't wish that on us. I wouldn't wish
Oh,
that
God,
amount
no.
of death.
Oh, I don't, not by any means. That's the last thing we need, right? Like Houston said, nukes. Problem is with nukes, there aren't going to be any of us left. And the ones that do survive, you aren't going to want to be alive. You know, where I live, I'll be in the first wave. So I will go outside, or if I have enough warning, run to the beach, look at the ocean while they and get vaporized. I would not want to be alive post-nuclear war. 5K on current carriers. Think about that, right? So, you know, we pick your carrier in and it gets sunk, 5,000 go down, God forbid. That might unite the country. Might. I'm not even sure at this point.
Well, it was what, 3,000 during 9/11?
But that was a
Yeah, but the different time.
It was. But you know what? You
We
need
weren't
some
this
sort of
divided,
catalyst to unite these dumb MFers.
Yeah, we weren't this divided then. And how long did it really last? A few months, maybe. You know, if Pearl Harbor happened now, I don't know if that would be enough. And especially men. Men are just like, fuck it, I don't care.
I personally think that's by design, but that's just me.
You know, right? And I want to
conditioning.
be so wrong on all this, but anyway. All right, we only got a couple minutes, so this went really dark.
Yeah, this did. This is not the topic we wanted.
To be,
it needed to.
You know, it's my closing thought is with his children, and I hope to God they get whatever help they need, and I'm sure they will. And I hope the person who committed the crime, who's apparently a male, he gets no sympathy from me. He needs to be held accountable, and frankly, the worst possible should happen to him, and I'll just leave it at that. All right, got a minute left. Wrap it up, guys. I don't want to say anything more.
No, I don't want to say anything more either. My prayers and thoughts are with his kids and his wife, and this is just a tragedy.
A tragedy.
And it should be treated as such.
I agree. All right, let's go ahead and wrap it up, guys. All right, producer boy, you got it.